For this production of La Bohème, I've been working with Venning, who's a young designer who's only a year or two out of drama school.
You know, warmer clothes.
I've been amazingly impressed about how assured and poised she has been. She's come to this process extremely well prepared, with a very clear idea of what she thinks this piece is.
Within it, as you said, happy poverty, that, you know, that excitement of living in her own.
She could offer a very instinctive, from the heart response to the material that she was presented with, whereas I came at it from a different perspective of going, well, I've kind of seen that before, and yeah, that's kind of how it gets done before, or oh, that's interesting, I've not seen that before. And I think that was quite a nice working relationship.
I graduated from my course in design, theatre design, a year ago. And since then, I have done some designs in lots of different types of theatre, quite small-scale stuff, mostly in London. And then in about November, I got the call asking if I wanted my name to be put forward. I think I had already been suggested, and whether I would meet with Fehr, the director. I think he'd seen my work by that point from my website and was willing to take a chance on someone who is younger and less experienced.
Whereas the sewing that she does on silk.
Really, the first few weeks are obviously the early discussions and thinking about our concept and how to approach it and what we think of the characters, and that's really important to me. It's one of the bits I enjoy the most, is the early stages. I do very often start in sketches. I start in 2D, I get reference images, and then I go through sketches, and then I go through 3D communication. The model is particularly important to have a scale version of your final set so that you can see in 3D how is this going to work and where's that going to be and what's that space and what are the entrances and exits.
So what we're going to do now is whip through. What I love about working with a design team, whether that's a single set and costume designer or two different people, lighting designer, maybe a video designer in certain shows, is the dialogue that one has and the ability to feed off each other with ideas and create something much richer than any individual person would be able to create by themselves.
That's the date device.
Our concept is that Rodolfo is an older man, a middle-aged man who's returning to this attic where he has all these memories of the past. So he is in the 1960s and he is remembering the 1930s. And that's why we've gone for a slightly abstracted approach in a way.
I think the excitement of La Bohème is it's this story which is so immediately accessible to people. It tells a story of young love. It tells a story of heartbreak. It tells a story of death and sadness. These are all things that we can so easily relate to. And Puccini's music supports that in the most visceral, heart-rending way possible.
They say, oh, your design reflects the music, which I find very interesting because I don't know a thing about music, but I still listen to it a lot to get that feeling of it, because I think for me, and it's one of the ways in which the process of a designer and a director cross over, is that things like pace and rhythm and movement are very important. Maybe you've got a big chorus and then you've got a slow, beautiful aria, or you've got, you know, upbeat, slow, that sort of thing. From a completely non-musical person, I still find that very interesting to approach visually and how those two interact.
There are some challenges in directing La Bohème, and actually with most of Puccini's output, which is it's quite prescriptive. So because it's essentially naturalistic, it fits into this school of opera called verismo, meaning truth, which tends to be sort of real in the way that it tells the story, so that there are lots of props to deal with. So candles have to be lit and go out at certain times. Food has to be produced at certain moments for people to say, oh, look, sweet meats, oh, look, cold meats. And that means that as a director, you have to work very hard to make sure that everything is in exactly the right place at the moment it's required. When we get to the point at which the show starts to actually get into performance, I have to take a step back and let it breathe. It's a strange experience, and it can be quite difficult. It can be quite difficult because I'm a perfectionist, and when I sit there watching a show on the first night, I will absolutely fixate on the couple of things which are wrong, and I'll go, why didn't I fix that in the rehearsal room? But at the same time, with experience now, I am also able to step back and feel pride in the work that I've done, and pride in the work, obviously, which my team, my cast, my creative team have put the pride in the work that they have put in to create the show that the public then see.
Having those stepping stones and that faith in you as a young designer that you can still deliver a piece that is worthy of Clonter and of its audience is wonderful. And the fact that now this is my last big design before I then go on to work at the National Theatre for a year, I feel very proud and very happy to have sort of to finish off my first year freelancing doing something that is a lot bigger, with a much bigger team than someone my age would normally be offered.
I was a little bit anxious, I have to say, mainly because the rehearsal time has been quite short. Normally, just before a first night, I'm feeling pretty confident about how the show is going to be. And tonight, granted it wasn't a first night, but tonight I was a bit anxious. And at the end of Act 1, I thought, actually, yes, this is really working, and I felt really confident.
It's a relief to know that everything went well, and to see people hopefully enjoying it, or at least engaging with it, is wonderful. I mean, I do have to pinch myself constantly. I think I mostly get that when the set has first been built, just because that's a realisation from the small scale model to the large set. That's always slightly terrifying. But then seeing it all together, painted, under the lights, with people coming to see it, that's when it kind of all hits home. And yeah, I couldn't really stop smiling, apart from when I was, sad because of the very sad story.